Today we're going to talk about the practical steps to higher levels of consciousness and awakening. And this is a whole program that I put together through a bunch of courses, actually 10 courses. And these courses are Divine Self, how to connect with your Divine Self and stay connected, which is difficult to do in my opinion, but I'll tell you about that in that course. Happiness and Synchronicities, the Lightworker series, very interesting course to me. From Ego to Heart-Based Consciousness, The Power of Your Own Consciousness, Work, Money and Relationships, The Cosmic Game, Transpersonal States of Being, Living from the Heart, and the Present Moment Process. So these 10 courses have been put together for us to just elevate our frequencies. We're going to talk about how important that is. By the way, you can send me messages or questions at the same time. It's okay. All right. So, having said that, what I am willing and ready to share with you is how we can go into non-ordinary states of consciousness and connect with our guides. Some of you know your guides, some of you don't, and how we can connect with our full potential selves or our higher selves or our divine self, whatever name you call it. Now, I think it's necessary in this day and age to do that, and we're going to talk about why this is so important today. So having said that, just know that I have a SDG for you, which is a sacred daily goal. If you decide to take up this challenge, then you will have a sacred daily goal to work on every day. It will not take too long, but there will be some homework. There will be some required readings, as if we're back at the university level again. And there will be a dimensional breathwork meditation every day. And I will show you how to clear yourselves from entities or negative energies. And if not, then I'll do it for you to start with. And by the way, if anybody needs any clearing at the end of this talk, just let me know. And what we're going to do also is to deepen our connections with our higher selves and with our guides, okay? So I don't know at which level you guys are. Maybe you're accomplished shamans and healers, I don't know, but I'm going to go through the basics right now. And there will be also a connection with the transpersonal states, these spiritual states that, you know, many spiritual people have been talking about in the East for thousands of years, okay? So, but let's agree first on the basics. Now, there are billions and billions of extraterrestrials in this universe. It's a fact. Now, it's just a knowing for me. Maybe it's, if you're open-minded, some of you will probably accept this. And if you don't accept it, that's fine, you know. It's something that I feel a responsibility to share. And from these billions and billions of species of extraterrestrials in the galaxies and in our universe, we have a lot here on Earth. Okay, so from the Anunnakis and reptilians and Pleiadians and Nordics and Greys and Arcturians and, you know, insectoids and different types of humanoid races, artificial intelligence, clones, which we cannot really discern from human beings, are all among us. Yes, I'm not crazy. There's a reason why I'm saying this. The thing is, a lot of these ETs or interdimensionals have agendas. Of course, nobody's willing to really fight for us humans here. If you consider yourself humans, they're not willing to go into a galactic war, so to speak. Some of them are very much advanced technologically, maybe not spiritually. That is the real problem, actually. And some of them are helping us, like the Pleiadians and Nordics and others. But let's let's talk about why I mentioned this. The reason I mentioned this is that a lot of them have an agenda, which is to control and manipulate us humans because of the Earth's resources. And guess what? A lot of humans are helping them. People in power positions and in positions of power, rather, like politicians and leaders of great, 500 companies and whatnot. So, what I talk about and preach, and I do walk my talk and talk my walk as much as I can, is that it's time to wakey wake. It's time to wake up and get on with what we need to do to go to a higher frequency. Now, do you believe that the artificial pandemic of the coronavirus just happened to happen now? Why is it that it happened right now at a time where the Earth is in the fifth dimension, a time where the Earth is vibrating at a higher frequency? Because of many reasons, the Earth is vibrating at a higher frequency because now the Earth is going into a zone that's closer to the sun, because the magnetic field around the Earth has diminished a little bit. So therefore, we have higher. The cosmic rays are affecting us more. The point is, we are vibrating at a higher frequency level. Now, we have been conceived as humans to vibrate at the same level as the Earth. So what happens when we don't? Let's say the Earth is at a higher frequency, vibrating at a higher frequency, and then, a lot of us are in fear, anger, or guilt, or in lower frequencies. Then what happens? Well, what happens is that you're going to feel dis-ease, maybe depressed. Fear, anger, and guilt will manifest a lot faster than before. And the whole point is, why is this happening? Why the artificial pandemic now? Why is it that the cosmic rays are affecting us, and how is it affecting us? Why is it that this higher frequency and the pandemic are happening at the same time? Well, let's think about it for a second. This is common knowledge among light workers or people who are in this field or people who are into consciousness development. And the reason for that is that whether we accept that the Earth is vibrating at a higher frequency or not, the fact is we're being pushed or forced, quote unquote, to go into a higher consciousness level. Because as I said earlier, if we're not vibrating at a higher consciousness level, whereas the Earth is, then we're going to feel some dis-ease or uneasiness or depression or anxiety, okay? So we know that some of these ETs want to control and manipulate human beings for their own agendas. Usually it's for the resources of the planet. How best to control somebody without direct attacking or direct violence? How can I manipulate somebody? Let's say if I'm advanced technologically, maybe not spiritually, how would I control and manipulate somebody? Well, basically, if you're vibrating in a lower frequency or vibrating in fear, then you're very easily controlled and manipulated. So, the coronavirus, the pandemic, the artificial pandemic, has come upon us to scare the bejesus out of us. Some of us are vibrating in fear, some of us are not. For those who are vibrating in fear, what I would like to share, my purpose is to help you go to a higher level of consciousness so you cannot be attacked, so you cannot be controlled, so you cannot be manipulated. There are a lot of things happening in the world right now that are hush hush. Most of you know what's going on. I'm not going to go into that, but the world is changing, as you know. Okay. So having said that, so far, any questions from anybody before I continue? Okay. All right. So having said that, what is our purpose? I would say our higher purpose is to be happy or free. Some people will say freedom or happiness. Or some people would say it's to remember, remember who we are, and to co-create, let's say, divinity here down on earth, or to co-create this glory, this divine glory, or the glory of God, or the glory of spirit. Or maybe if you don't want to go that far into this or that deep into it, let's just say that we're here to find happiness. Well, as you know, the situations now in the world is difficult. I'm very positive, for one, because I believe the light has already won. I believe that the dark is actually working for the light, even if they don't know it. And the point here is, let's learn to go to higher frequencies. And these higher frequencies come from within. That's the whole point of these 10 courses, or the steps to higher levels of consciousness and awakening. Again, for those who want to take up this challenge. So I challenge you to take these courses for you to find your own spiritual and consciousness path. Now, these are just ideas, spiritual truths, universal spiritual truths, or knowings, if you want to call that, techniques, concepts. These are the things I'd like to show you, but remember that, talk therapy is probably not the most effective type of quote unquote therapy or healing, and that experiential knowledge is what I am stressing here. So you will learn to share or shift energies. You will learn to go into non-ordinary states of consciousness. We will, all of us together, learn to change our limiting beliefs and replace them with higher spiritual or transpersonal beliefs that will help you stay in a high vibration. That is our only chance, in my opinion, to get out of this mess, right? So even though the light has already won, we still have to go through the motion, right? Still have to go through the steps. Now, I wish I could interact with you. It's a lot easier to interact. So if you have any questions, please send me some questions. I don't know if Pia muted everybody or what, but let me see how you're taking this. Let me get a feel for you. Anybody? So the beauty of it all is that we are being forced into a frequency that is going to be a lot higher than it used to be. We're going to be forced, so to speak, to go from the ego-based consciousness to the heart-based consciousness. Again, for those who are willing to match. For those who do not want to match this higher vibration, then again, fatigue, anxiety, frustration, depression, dis-ease is what you're moving towards. So what to do is the question. Well, besides refusing vaccines which contents are unknown, besides refusing the installation of 5G, okay, so Nelly is asking me, does this have to do with the third eye? And how do we do it? Yes, definitely. Opening up and balancing the chakras and the third eye. Yes, definitely. That will come in one of the courses, but I'll put all this together because, again, what I'm going to encourage is for everybody to connect with their guides. We're not alone. We're always guided, whether you know it or not. So you will be able, by using your imagination, to go into the imaginal and connect with your guides, to go into the spirit world. Now, you can pray, and that would be enough for you. I'm just offering you, some tools that you can use. Now, how could we open up the third eye? Well, there are many ways to open up the third eye, Nelly, but one way is to unblock the blockages if they've been blocked, by the pollution or by the chemicals in our foods or in our waters, in our drinking water. And also, let's not forget that a lot of ETs are, manipulating us with energies as well. So we'll get into that because that's a whole course by itself. But I hope I answered you somewhat. Let me check out the chat here. There's a message I didn't check out. Sorry, so I'll check it real fast. Is it spiritual awakening connected? Okay. Yes. All right. Munira. Okay. All righty. So.
Yes. Okay.
Excuse me. Yeah. Please interact with me. I don't mind if you talk. I don't like talking to myself necessarily too much. So if you have any questions, we have time, to talk about this in depth. I'm not going to go into a course today, but I do want to address your question. Okay. So again, besides installing certain applications that will invade our privacy on the mobiles, and besides, allowing people to inject us with devices and letting them do serological, tests that are not really reliable, I'm going to ask you to spread the news here. Now, many light workers around the world are spreading this news. I'm not the only one, of course. There's a person called Luc Baudin. He has an article that's really circulating rapidly in the world. I advise you to check him out. There's another lady or young woman called Elizabeth April. Now she has a very good video on ETs and interdimensionals, talking about that we're all hybrids. That's an interesting video. So I really encourage you to do some research. Okay. All right. So what do we do? Well, for one, do not fight. Okay. What we're going to do is fight in a spiritual way. In other words, you don't fight fire with fire. You fight fire with the opposite, with water. You don't fight violence with violence. It's usually useless unless you're really defending yourself and they're attacking you physically. But they're a lot more sophisticated than that. So that's not going to happen. So what I am asking you is to play chess lovingly, creatively. Let's open up this creativity of ours and let's play chess. Okay, because again, when you fight fire with fire, you go down to that lower energy, and guess what? They're really good at it. This is their game. This is not our game. You don't want to deal with, entities that are a lot better than us in that game when it comes to, manipulations or other types of dark force maneuvers. Okay, stay in a higher frequency. When I say higher frequency, joy, love. We'll talk about presence a little bit. Capital P, very important. And please always remember that we are motivated by one emotion and one feeling. Usually everything we think about and do and anything we act upon is out of love or out of fear. So again, always choose love. Now I know it's hard to vibrate in that energy, or at least it is for me to always vibrate in that energy of love, but think about compassion, think about joy and patience, fair, care, share, respect. These are not too difficult, I don't think, to live by. But maybe vibrating in a higher level of love all the time, 100%, might be a little bit difficult for some of us. It is for me. I'll be honest, I don't vibrate in love all the time. I get, a little bit irritated at people that cut me off on the road, or, with traumatized, aggressive people sometimes. So having said that, I do have a plan. So how do we know that we awake? Or if not, what are the signs that we are consciousness still not awake? So we're all awakening. We're all on this path, Nelly. Okay. And the point is, what is your vibration? What vibration are you bathing in? Are you usually a happy camper? Are you usually smiling? Are you usually, respectful? Or are you want to tear somebody's head off? Most of the time. That's usually how you know. It's very easy to see. There's a saying in French, heureux les pauvres d'esprit. Simpletons are happy. I'm not talking about that happiness. I'm talking about a conscious happiness. So that's how we know that you're conscious. Basically, if you're conscious, you're vibrating in a higher vibration. All right. So yeah, it's a good point, because, how do I know how conscious you are? How do you know how conscious I am? Well, all I can say is that, I'm usually a happy camper. I found peace, inner peace, after going through hell and back. There is no hell, but you know what I mean? Going through a lot in my life. I did find some type of balance. It's about balance. Okay. So we're going to talk about, well, what is happiness? Yeah, actually, I just remember the story. This boy asks his father, Father, what is happiness? And they're living out in the country, and his father says, he thinks a little bit and then says, you know what? Come with me. So they take the donkey. The father gets on the back of the donkey, and they go to town, and the little boy's walking next to the donkey. And the father's on the back of the donkey, and the boy's next to his father and the donkey, walking around, and they're going to town. Then the villagers start saying, oh, wow, look at this kid. Look at this father, how shameful. He's just resting really cool, like on the donkey, and his son has to walk, in the sun. That's not very nice. What a ignorant father. So the father says, son, do you hear what they're saying? The son says, yes. So they go back home. Then the next day, father says, okay, son, let's go to village, let's go sell our supplies and see if we can make a little money. But this time, I want you to get on the back of the donkey. So the little boy gets on the back of the donkey. And the father walks next to the donkey and the son that's on the back of the donkey. And then they get into the village, and the villagers look at this scene and they say, oh, you see, look at this son. What a spoiled little brat. He's sitting comfortable on the donkey, and his father's walking along and sweating. That's not very nice. How egocentric of this little boy, how spoiled. So the father says, did you hear what the villagers were saying? The boy says, yeah. Okay, let's go home. So they go back home. And the next day, well, they wake up, and the father says, okay, son, let's go to the village. But this time we're going to hold the supplies, and we're going to walk, you and I, next to each other, and we'll have the donkey walk behind us. So they go to the village, and they're walking in the village, and the villagers say, look at those idiots. They have a donkey. They're holding the supplies, and the donkey's right behind them. How strange is that? So the father says, you see, did you hear that, son? The son says, yeah. Well, what's the moral, son? The son says, I'm not too sure. Well, the father tells his son, well, people will always criticize. So do what you feel is right, and you will be happy. The moral of the story is live by your values. Now live by your values, not society's values. And the thing is, I will bet you $1. Okay, I'll bet you $100 that most of us are not clear on our values. So I'll show you how to prioritize your values. You might think you're clear, but I doubt that everybody's clear on their values. You might be, I surely wasn't. It took me a long time to get clear on my values, and sometimes I still wrestle with some of the values, to be very honest. So in these courses, we're going to talk about happiness, what happiness is, how money is important, but it's not the most important thing for happiness, of course. They say that the suicide rate is highest among the rich. Think about that one. I know some farmers that don't have a cent, but which are extremely happy, who are extremely happy. So we'll talk about that. It's a very important course. Of course, it's going to take more than 2 hours, but this course will be a 2-hour course, and then it will send you on your path to seek higher consciousness levels. All I can do is just show you a path. There are many paths. Okay? So, having said that, please remember that these are concepts that have been proven over the years, that mystics, apply. Maybe some religious people or spiritual people apply, but again, mystics don't fight among each other, but religious people sometimes fight among each other. So I'm going to stick to the spiritual people and to the mystics. Now, I know many religious people that are very spiritual. I'm not bashing anybody. I'm just saying the essence of religion is spirituality. Okay. Now, we're also going to talk about presence. So this brings me to another story. In a kingdom far, far away, let's say, the old king dies and his young son takes the throne. But the young son is very, ignorant about running a kingdom, about ruling a kingdom, and doesn't have any experience. So the young son is sitting on the throne and asks his 3 advisors to approach him. And they approach him and they say, I really don't know how to rule and I need your help. I'm going to ask you to go search and seek wisdom and knowledge. So travel far and bring me back all the wisdom and knowledge of this world. Be gone. So the advisors travel, and years later, many years later, and the young king is now reaching maturity. They come to him with thousands and thousands and thousands of books of knowledge and wisdom and science. And the young king looks at them. He says, I don't have time to understand all of this. Okay, I'll address that, Nelly. Just give me a second. Let me finish this. So I was saying that they come back with thousands and thousands of books and knowledge and wisdom. And the young king says, I don't have time to understand and learn this and apply all this in my lifetime. So please, be gone. Come back when you have a summary of these thousands and thousands of books. So the 3 advisors go away and come back years later. And now the king is, getting tired and a little bit old already. And they show him hundreds of books of wisdom and practical knowledge. And the young king says, I don't have time for these hundreds of books. Get out of here and go bring me something. Give me a better summary than this. Be gone. So there they go, I don't know, some more years, and I don't know how many odd years, and they come back, and now the king is old and starting to get sick. And, and the advisors say, look, this is the best we can do. And the old king now, he's become old and tired and a little bit sick, says, no, you got to do better. Just bring me some, articles. Give me something I can learn now and apply now and rule my kingdom in a wise way. So be gone. So they come back years later. Two of the advisors have died. And the king now is old and says to them, you know, this is not enough. I want phrases. Give me phrases. So the one advisor that's still alive goes and works on phrases and phrases and comes back years later. Now the king is on his deathbed and dying. He says, you know, I'm so curious. What is this wisdom that I'm seeking? Tell me. Just give me one phrase, one phrase. I don't want articles and books and phrases. I want one phrase to live by before I die. Please tell me, whisper in my ear. So the advisor comes close to the dying king and says one phrase: live the present moment. All right, now Buddha has said that before as well. So again, in these courses, I'm going to show you how we live the present moment, how to trust and let go when we need to let go. We'll talk about letting go. Very important. Probably the most spiritual thing we can do is let go of all the baggage and fear and anger and guilt and stress and sadness and loneliness and attachments and addictions. You know, just let them go. It's hard to do that because, you know, we're not taught how to let go. I still work with shamans in Peru, and they used to make fun of us, you know, from this world, the Western world. And, you know, I didn't understand why they made fun of us. So one day, made so much fun of us. So one day I asked the shaman, you know, tell me what the heck's going on. So I brought a friend who spoke Spanish, and he translated, because my Spanish is still not great. Can't learn Spanish. I don't know why. I've had enough with French and Arabic, so I just couldn't learn Spanish, even though it's not that much. So the point is, this shaman told me, you guys are sick. I said, what do you mean we're sick? I said, I don't know how many of you come to me with fears and anxieties and anger and guilt, and I just tell you to let go, and you still don't let go. What is it with you people? I said, what do you mean? Their concept is just to let go of it. We don't know how to let go. It's like holding on to a pen so tight that your fingers start to hurt. Well, just let it go, you know, let it go. That's how it is for some shamans in Peru and probably other places. So we're going to talk about letting go, which reminds me of another story, by the way. You have these two monks that want to cross a river, and a beautiful lady, this beautiful woman, and two monks want to cross the river. So there's an old monk and a young monk, and this beautiful lady. You know how conservative monks are, all the rules they have. So they're about to cross, but they see that the lady, the woman, is really, really scared because the current is really strong. So the old monk says, okay, get on my back and we'll cross this river. And the young monk looks at him, you know, completely dismayed and shocked. You know, you ask this woman to get on your back. I mean, come on, this is against the rules, and, you know, we don't do stuff like that. So anyway, they cross the river, and the young monk doesn't say a word. He's silent for hours and hours in shock. And then finally, when they get to the convent, the couvent, how do you say that? Whatever. I'm translating from French again. They get to the place where they go and whatever and pray. I'll find it. So the young monk says to the old monk, monastery. Yeah, thank you, thank you, Lina Fakhuri. So they get to the monastery. The young monk says to the old monk, "How dare you do that? Shame on you!" And the old monk looks at the young monk and says, "What's wrong? What are you talking about?" And then he says, "Oh yeah, you mean the young woman? Well, she got off my back hours ago, but it seems like she's still on your back. You know? So what's the moral of the story here? To let go. It's a lot harder than you may think, because letting go ain't that easy sometimes. And guess what? You have many, many methods. You have the Sedona method. You have breath work. You have all sorts of methods to let go. All right, so I'm going to show you and maybe give you a tip for you to seek your own way of letting go, but it's crucial that you learn to let go of the fear, especially fear. So many people live in so much fear. The more psychological death and rebirths you have, the more you let go of fear and the more you embrace life. You know, like I said many, many times, and I always say it every time in every seminar, love death and love life. Death is nothing. It's just a transition. How do I know that? Because I've lived many psycho-spiritual, death and rebirths. Again, I'm not saying that, I won't be a little bit afraid maybe if I die, depending on how I die and all that. But the point is, love death. It's just another transition. It's that. It's becoming the butterfly, actually. So that's another thing we're going to talk about a lot. Letting go, the present moment process, happiness, freedom. Freedom. What is freedom to you? What's happening to the feminine energy now? The feminine is making a comeback, so to speak. Okay, so, freedom is very important. You want freedom? I personally don't want to live if I don't have freedom, right? But I think that most of you are like that too. So a man asked a sage, this man asked a sage, "Sage, what is freedom?" And the sage looks at the man and says, "You see that cemetery over there? Go over there, and I want you to go and cuss out all those dead people in their graves and spit on their graves." So the man says, okay. So he goes to the cemetery, he starts cussing all those people in their graves and spits on their graves. Then goes back to the wise man or the sage. And the wise man looks at him and he says, "Well, did anybody say anything? Did anybody reply?" And the man says, "No." He said, "Okay, I want you to return to the cemetery, but this time I want you to praise them and I want you to sing songs as if they were saints, as if all these dead people were saints. Go now and come back." All right, so the man goes to the cemetery and they're, "You're such a saint. I love you. You're such a great person." And a lot of praise and praise and praise as if they were all saints. Finishes with everybody, then goes back to the wise man. And the wise man looks at him and says, "Well, did anybody say anything?" And the man says, "Well, no. Well," the man looks at him and says, "I didn't get it. So what's the moral of the story here?" And the wise man says, "Well, if you want to be free, play dumb, deaf, and dead, whether people praise you or cuss you, because people will. The point is, be unperturbable, like a mountain, unshakable." There's an expression in Arabic, but I'll keep that. I'm sure Lena is probably saying it. Be unshakable like a mountain. In other words, no major fear, anger, guilt, stress, sadness, loneliness, boredom, frustration, and depression. These are the major emotions, 7 primary emotions. The secondary emotions is frustration, and depression, which is the tertiary, the third emotion. No major fear, anger, guilt, and stress. How do you do that? You have to higher your frequency level and bathe in higher frequencies. How do you do that? Well, the present moment process. For those of you who are traumatized, who have a lot of, have lived through a lot of injustices and have anger, there's a way to transform anger, I know, because I've lived through rage and anger for many years. Fear, anger, and guilt usually come together. It's called the devil's triangle. So fear, anger, and guilt, major problems here, all destructive. Again, if you want to live happy in this new world, because it is a new world, Trust me. It's a new world. Things have changed. They're not going to be the same anymore. Okay. So having said that, another thing we can do, is to remember to also listen to your intuition. I had a teacher a long time ago. Well, he's famous, but I don't know how he's doing now. But he taught me this. He said, Mark, if you want to dance, you want to live life and dance with life. You want to have a dance of life, he used to say, and have positive results. You need to listen to your intuition and your logic. Okay? Your intuition and your logic. Now, people from all sorts of life and all endeavors, all professions. There's a book, I can't remember the name of the book, but there was a book that talked about all successful people, whether they were successful financially or successful creatively, or inventors like Einstein or Tesla. All these people listened to their intuition and backed it up with their logic. So you probably know their stories. Einstein was writing on beams of light and talking to the beams of light until he got his theory of relativity. Tesla, went into the imagination and then went into the imaginal and then saw, all those gadgets he invented. And, Vernon Wolf and all these inventors, use their intuition or the imaginal, or actually got in touch with their guides or with extraterrestrials that were willing to help. Now you can do your research. I've done my research. Okay, I'm just sharing this with you. Now again, you're never alone. You do have guides, whether you know it or not. I will show you how to filter your guides through your higher self, how to become your higher self or divine self. That doesn't mean you're not human anymore. Your feet are planted on Mother Earth, and maybe your head might be a little bit in the sky, but we are very much anchored in Mother Earth. Now you can ask the beings to come to you, or you can go to them. That's something you have a choice about. But it's time to realize that we're not alone. Okay, and I think that pretty soon it will become common knowledge. Again, any questions? So let me see. What is the attitude we should have toward others? Negative energy, for example, a close friend or a family member, when you know they love us, but they're toxic. Yeah, well, get away from them. I got away from a lot of people very close to me because I couldn't handle it anymore and because they were not good for me. But at a certain point, you're going to get so strong and be able to protect yourself from their toxic energy that they won't bug you. You'll be unperturbable. But again, it takes a little bit of practice. Some people are just born that way. I was not that lucky. I worked my butt off to get where I was and to find some peace and happiness. I'm still not very wealthy financially, but I am serene most of the time. Don't get me wrong. Most of the time, it's like little ups and downs. That's life, but somewhat consistent. Okay. So do listen to your intuition. I will show you how to connect with your sixth sense or your full potential self or higher self. And also, with these high vibrations, forgiveness is a must. So I give courses on forgiveness. I will include it in one of these courses. Very, very important to forgive yourself, especially, of course, to forgive others. I don't care what they did to you, forgive. So why is it so important? Because when you forgive, you're releasing those people, from the hold they have. Whether you were abused or raped or paralyzed or stolen from or whatever it is. I've seen all sorts of cases. I've been a therapist and healer for decades. I'm still learning a lot. But what I did realize is that If you're not going to forgive, if you're not ready to forgive, then you're not going to be a happy camper. Okay. Some people say forgive and forget. No, don't ever forget. Forgive, but don't forget. Always remember, and when you remember, don't allow it to touch you or to influence you negatively. So, forgiveness is directly proportional to your mental health. Remember that. Forgiveness, the capacity to forgive, is directly proportionate to your mental health or psychic health. Okay. God knows that I've had a lot of forgiveness to do, and also remember to forgive yourself. Because no matter what, you are loved unconditionally. You know, I don't care what you've done or sins you've done or people you've killed or whatever, you know, in the war, or outside of the war, or whatever it is, forgive yourself and do better. Because obviously, you know, that's the whole point, is to do better. Again, what's the purpose? Some people put it simply, and maybe they're right, is to be happy. Other people say, you know, our purpose is to remember who we are, and to manifest this divinity here in this duality here on earth, or to just co-create your experience. When I say co-create, you're a particle of God, so let's say just create your glory, right? That's what we're here for. It never ends, by the way. Of course, read Conversations with God. If you do take these courses, that would be some homework for you. The 4 books. Okay, book 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't read them, study them. Study them deeply. And there's some other books that I will give you as we go along. And finally, remember to ask, because you will receive. Ask and you shall receive, right? Who said that one? Well, I know that you know. You'll receive healings. You'll receive protection, insights. And teachers will suddenly appear everywhere, right? You know, there's that saying, when the student is prepared or ready, the teacher appears. Well, it's not only that, I'm telling you, teachers will appear everywhere, every freaking where, in front, behind, left and right in life. It's incredible, the synchronicities that will happen. Make a decision. I'll show you how to clear your third eye if it's blocked. A lot of people have fears on that spiritual level for many reasons. How to balance the chakras, how to, you know, disable some energetic implants maybe that you might have, to activate your DNA to be able to connect and with your full potential self, become your full potential self here in this lifetime, to recharge your energy. All this will come in one of the courses. I'll talk a little bit about shamanism. Shamanism is basically just connecting with the spiritual world. You know, we'll do stuff like that, okay? Now, we still have 10 more minutes. I've talked a lot, so I hope I didn't, you know, talk too much, talk your ears off. Please ask me some questions, and let me know how you're feeling right now.
Hi, is it okay to ask a question?
Please.
Thank you. I'm very interested in everything you've said, and I was just wondering if you're holding any courses online in Dubai in the near future.
Yes, I'm going to give a shamanism course pretty soon in June, beginning of June. But you can always get in touch with Illuminations, because
Okay.
they know my schedule a lot better than I do, of course.
Okay.
So
That's
yes,
great.
I will be giving these 10 courses pretty soon, and I will be giving a shamanism course very soon.
That's great. And can I just ask your background? Do you have, I mean, you've obviously studied and read, and you know a lot about different teachers and different realms. Can you just give me a little summary of your background, please?
Sure. So 30 years ago, over 30 years ago now, I started with NLP and other techniques. And then I became a hypnotherapist, a clinical hypnotherapist. I taught some doctors how to do surgery without using chemicals, just by using hypnosis, the state of hypnosis. After I became a hypnotist, and I still am practicing as a hypnotist, I studied holodynamics, so quantum physics, which is modern shamanism, if you want. And then I really studied the traditional shamanism with shamans in Peru for over a decade. I don't know exactly. I worked a lot with plant medicine, be it ayahuasca, Wachuma, San Pedro, Bobinsana, Vilca, even, frog poisons and bufos, because I wanted to go into non-ordinary states. For me, that was an important way to connect. Of course, I'm certified in holotropic breath work, but I put together my own method, which is called the dimensional awareness process. You can check my website, Marc with the C. My real name is Jean-Marc, but people call me Marc. So my website is MARCMALLAT, marcmallat.com. You can download my book. It's a little booklet. You can read the third section if you're interested in the dimensional awareness process.
That's great. Thank you very much. I'll definitely look at the website. That's
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you.
What's your name so I remember your name, please?
I'm Karen Reynolds.
All right, Karen. Enchanté.
Thank you very much. I used to live in Morocco, so I know a tiny bit of French, but not very fluent.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Nice.
Anybody else have any questions? What would you think of the Silva Life System and Silva Intuition System? Okay, so I've heard of the Silva. I don't know what it's called, Silva. I've heard of it. I've actually read the books. I think they teach people how to go into non-ordinary states, if I'm not wrong. So I remember, from what I remember, it was a good method. But again, you have different roads. All roads lead to Rome, right? Different paths for different people, different strokes. Yeah. I remember that. I remember that system. It's an old system, and people have done wonders with that system. Yes, I like it. I honestly don't remember what it is about exactly, but I believe it has to do with tapping into non-ordinary states of consciousness, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I remember vaguely, yes. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Thanks, Farah. Any other questions about anything and the 10 courses that I'm going to give pretty soon? Great, so that's great. Yeah, that you did that. Always good, keep seeking, keep searching until you find the method that resonates with you. That's what I did. I've seen so many systems and modalities. Not everything resonated with me, I needed something intense. I went into plant medicine, and that it shocked the soul out of me. And that's what I needed. I don't need that anymore. Do have courses in Arabic? Yes, Munira, I do. You can ask Illuminations. I'll give you a course in Arabic if you want, of course. I've done that before. Yeah, just get in touch with Illuminations. Now I'm okay in Arabic. I'm not great, so I'll probably throw in some English in there. But I'm okay. I'm okay. You can check out YouTube stuff, that I did in Arabic. Not that proud of it. That was a long time ago. But you can always check that. So again, these 10 courses, thanks, Farah. So these 10 courses, I'm really excited about the Lightworker series, and that we can extend that. I'm really excited about the cosmic game, transpersonal states of being. I'm really passionate about this. I've been doing this. I have a doctorate in business, so imagine I went from a sales trainer when I was very young to, to coaching all sorts of corporations, not so much in the States, but some, mostly in the Middle East. And then, people just to come up to me and say, okay, Marc, I like the theory. Now, how do I do it? So I tapped into the subconscious mind. I became a hypnotist. And now I do what I do. So it's time. It's time. We need a lot of people. Our strength is in our numbers. Thank you. But our strength is in our numbers, and we really need all the players we can get. It's time to wake up and to realize that we're not alone, and to realize that our world is threatened, even though I think the light has already won. But man, so many things now falling. You know, secret societies, all those pedophiles and, you know, those rings and, you know, all this is falling apart, thank God. But still, there's a lot to do. Thank you, Larissa. Thank you. God bless, and keep in touch. And please get in touch with Illuminations if you'd like to pursue this path. Alrighty, I enjoyed myself a lot, and hope to meet you soon. And take care. Bye for now.